Eli Carter stood at the airlock of the alien starship Saranaidon. His hands trembled as he held his small bag. For months, he had trained for this moment. He was the first human ever chosen to live and work aboard a Valeri ship. It was history in the making. He was at the center of it. The sleek silver hull of the ship reflected the light of the nearby station. The Valeri ship looked alive, like it was grown instead of built. Its surface rippled faintly, almost like the skin of some giant creature. Eli felt both nervous and excited. He took a deep breath. "All right, Eli," he whispered to himself. "You're ready for this? Just don't mess it up." The airlock opened with a hiss. Warm light spilled out, and a tall figure stepped forward. It was a Valeri officer, crystal-like skin shimmering in colors of blue and green. The alien's voice was calm, melodic, and echoed slightly. "Welcome, Eli Carter of Earth," the alien said. "I am Commander Rachin. The crew is waiting." "Please, step aboard." Eli nodded, trying to hide his nerves. He walked into the airlock, and the door closed behind him. The ship's atmosphere smelled faintly of ozone and minerals, but it was BREATHABLed. Inside, the corridors were smooth and glowing, no sharp corners, no metal bolts or wires. It looked more like the inside of a coral reef than a machine. Eli's engineer mind was fascinated. As Commander Arachin guided him deeper into the ship, Eli noticed something strange. Every Valeri he saw was tall, crystal-skinned, and not wearing any clothes. At first he tried to look away politely, but after passing several crew members, he could not ignore it. "Commander Rachin," Eli said carefully, "I couldn't help but notice something. Is there a uniform? Or a—" Rachin stopped and tilted his head. The alien's crystal skin caught the light like a prism. "Ah, you mean garments?" "I am sorry, Eli. You were not told." Eli frowned. "Told what?" Rachin spread his long arms. "There are no clothes allowed on the Saranaidon. It is a rule. Garments cause static discharges during hyperjump, and the resonance interferes with our star core. They are a danger to us all." Eli blinked. "Wait, so you mean—" "Yes," Arachin said gently. "From this moment forward, you must live as we do. No clothes aboard the ship. It is the Valeri way." Eli's face turned red. He felt heat rush up his neck. "Wow, that's different." "To us, it is natural," Rachin said, his voice still calm. "Our forms are not hidden. We are as we are. You will grow used to it, human friend." Eli swallowed hard. He had trained for alien languages, alien machines, alien food, but no one told him about this. Still, he knew he could not back out. Earth was counting on him to represent humanity. "All right," Eli said, forcing a smile. "If that's the rule, I'll do my best." Later, in his assigned cabin, Eli sat on the edge of a smooth, crystalline bench. His bag was at his feet. Inside were his neatly folded clothes. He stared at them, then at the glowing walls. "This is crazy," he muttered. "No clothes? How am I supposed to get used to that?" But he remembered his instructors back on Earth. Adaptability is the strength of humanity. Show them, you can adjust. So with a deep breath, Eli set his clothes aside. He felt vulnerable, but he told himself it was just another kind of training. Just then, his cabin door slid open. A Valeri figure stepped inside, tall and graceful, with skin that shimmered like purple crystal under sunlight. "Hello," the alien said in a melodic tone. "You must be Eli Carter. I am Carini, pilot of the Saranaidon. I am here to help you adjust." Eli quickly stood, nervous. "Ah, hi, yes, that's me. Nice to meet you." Carini tilted her head, studying him with curious, bright eyes. "It is strange for you, is it not? The rule about garments?" Eli laughed awkwardly. "Yeah, you could say that. Humans usually cover themselves." Carini's eyes sparkled with interest. "Cover why? Are you afraid of what you are?" Eli hesitated. "Not exactly. It's about privacy, protection, tradition," Carini said, tapping her chin. "We Valeri believe the body is truth. To cover it is to hide truth. But you will learn. Eli sighed. I guess I will. The next day, Eli was introduced to the engineering chamber of the Serenai Dawn. It was beautiful and alien. The walls pulsed with light, and the machines looked grown, not built. Instead of wires, glowing veins of energy flowed like rivers. Eli's job was to assist the Valeri engineers, learn their systems, and share human techniques. Most of the Valeri were polite, though curious about him. He caught them glancing at him often, as if studying his every move. During a training session, Karini accompanied him. She explained the ship's navigation systems, her voice calm but filled with pride. This starship travels by bending resonance fields, she said. Our minds must remain calm. Our bodies must remain free, unhidden, so that the resonance flows through us. That is why no clothes are allowed. Eli listened carefully, though he still felt awkward. But soon, his curiosity about the ship grew stronger than his embarrassment. One evening, the ship prepared for its first hyperjump with Eli aboard. The crew gathered in the control hall, standing around a great crystal core that glowed brighter and brighter. Suddenly, alarms blared. The crystal core flickered, and arcs of energy sparked dangerously. The Valeri engineers shouted in their language, moving quickly. But confusion spread. Commander Rachan called out, "Stabilizers failing. Resonance out of alignment." Karini's face tightened. If the jump begins now, the ship could shatter. Eli's engineer mind raced. He looked at the core, then at the control panels. He saw the problem energy feedback looping into the wrong channel. Wait, Eli shouted. You're trying to dampen it evenly, but that'll take too long. You need to overload one channel to reset the loop. The Valeri stared at him. Rachan frowned. That is reckless. It could destabilize the whole chamber. It's risky, Eli admitted, but it'll work. Trust me, humans have done this kind of thing before with unstable reactors. Karini looked at Rachan, then back at Eli. I say we let him try. We brought a human here to learn. Perhaps this is the moment to listen. Rachan hesitated, then gave a slow nod. Very well. Do it, Eli Carter. Eli rushed to the panel, his fingers flying across alien symbols. He rerouted the energy, forcing one channel to overload. Sparks shot out and the core pulsed dangerously. For a moment it seemed like everything would explode. Then with a final flash, the energy loop reset. The alarms went silent. The crystal core stabilized, glowing steady and calm once more. The Valeri stared in silence. Then Commander Rachan stepped forward. His voice echoed with respect. You saved the Serenai Dawn. You acted without fear. Perhaps this is the human strength. Eli's heart raced, but he smiled. Sometimes you've just got to try something crazy. That's what humans do best. Karini's eyes sparkled. Perhaps you will teach us much, Eli Carter. That night Eli sat in his cabin exhausted, but proud. He thought about the day, his fear, his embarrassment, his quick decision to risk everything. Maybe the Valeri were right, humans did cover themselves too much. Not just with clothes, but with rules, doubts, and fears. Out here, he had no choice but to be raw and open. And maybe that was a good thing. For the first time since stepping aboard, Eli felt like he belonged. Eli Carter had spent one full cycle aboard the Serenai Dawn. Every day felt like a test. Not only of his engineering skills, but of his courage to adapt. At first, the strange Valeri rule of no clothes had been unbearable. But slowly, Eli was adjusting. The crystal-skinned aliens treated it as natural. They carried themselves with calm dignity, never mocking or shaming. And most importantly, they had started to accept him. Commander Rachan now greeted him with short nods of approval. The engineers asked him questions about Earth's machines, and Karini, the pilot, spent more and more time with him. Curious about human ways, Eli found himself relaxing in her company. She was patient when he stumbled, gentle when he was embarrassed, and sometimes even playful. She had a habit of tilting her head when listening, like she wanted to capture every word. One morning, Kirin led him into the pilot's chamber. The wide room was filled with glowing star maps projected into the air. The walls themselves hummed faintly, live with resonance energy. "This is where I guide the Serenai Dawn through the currents of space," Carini explained. "Here, thought and instinct matter more than numbers. The ship listens to us." Eli's eyes widened. "You mean, it's alive?" "In a way," she said. "The Volari grow their ships. They are part machine, part living resonance. That is why no garments are allowed. Resonance must pass freely through our bodies." Eli scratched the back of his neck, still uneasy with the idea. "On Earth, ships are just metal and fuel. No one cares what you wear." Carini smiled faintly. "And yet you humans still reach the stars." Curious. Later that cycle, the Serenai Dawn detected something strange, a signal drifting from the edge of a nearby asteroid field. The sound was faint, but old like a whisper lost in space. Commander Arachin summoned the crew. "We have found a derelict vessel," he announced. "Its design is unknown. Its power is low. It may be dangerous. I advise we avoid it." The Volari murmured agreement, but Eli's curiosity lit up. "Wait, shouldn't we at least check it out? It could hold technology, history, maybe even survivors." Rachin frowned. "Human, you do not understand. To disturb the dead is to risk their curse. The derelict could hold resonance corruption." Eli shook his head. "Back on Earth, we've learned from wrecks. Airplanes, submarines, even crashed satellites. Every wreck is a lesson. If we don't investigate, we waste an opportunity." Carini looked at him with interest. "You believe knowledge is worth the danger?" Eli nodded firmly. "Always." Rachin was silent for a moment, then finally sighed. "Very well. A small team will go. Carini, you and the human will lead. But be careful." Eli suited up with Kyrene, though suited was the wrong word. The Volari allowed him a light-breathing mask and a protective field, but still no clothes. The field kept him warm in the cold void of space. He tried to focus on the mission, not his awkwardness. As their shuttle approached the derelict, Eli's breath caught. The wreck was massive, jagged like a broken blade. Its hull was dark, marked with scars of ancient battles. Symbols ran along its side alien runes, neither human nor Volari. Inside, the corridors were silent, filled with drifting dust. The ship felt wrong, as if shadows clung to every surface. Eli's engineer brain went into overdrive, scanning panels, studying broken machines. "This tech. I don't recognize it," he muttered. "It's not human. Not Volari. It's something else entirely." Carini ran her hand along a wall, her crystal skin glowing faintly. "It feels hostile. Old anger lingers here." They reached a central chamber. Strange machines stood dormant, black and sharp-edged. But as Eli stepped closer, one hummed to life. Lights flickered. Panels slid open. "Uh-oh," Eli whispered. The machines activated, sealing the chamber doors. Energy crackled, and a mechanical voice echoed in a language Eli did not understand. Carini's eyes widened. A trap. Alarms blared. Mechanical arms reached from the walls, trying to restrain them. Carini leaped back, her crystal skin glowing as she used resonance waves to shatter one arm. "Eli," she shouted, "find a way to stop it." Eli's heart pounded. He rushed to a console, though the symbols were alien. His hands flew across the strange keys, guessing, testing. He remembered his training. Look for patterns. Machines always have patterns. The system pulsed with warning lights. Carini fought to hold off the arms, but more kept coming. Eli took a deep breath. "Okay, think like a human. Don't overcomplicate. Look for something basic." He found a repeating sequence like a heartbeat. He slammed the control and rhythm with it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the machine stuttered, their arms freezing mid-motion. Carini struck the final arm, shattering it into sparks. The chamber fell silent. Breathing hard, Eli leaned on the console. That was close. Carini's eyes glowed as she looked at him. "You saw what I could not. You acted without knowing, but still you found the answer. This is very human, yes?" Eli grinned weakly. "We call it guessing." but sometimes it works. When they returned to the Serenai Dawn, Commander Rachan listened to their report with a heavy face. That derelict, Arachan said slowly. Its markings. I fear it belonged to the Drekker swarm, a machine enemy we believed destroyed long ago. The room fell silent. Karini's voice was soft. If that is true, then the swarm may not be gone. The derelict could be only the first sign. Rachan looked at Eli. Human, you pushed us to explore. Now we may face an old nightmare. Why should we not curse your reckless curiosity? Eli stood tall, his voice firm though his heart raced. Because knowing is always better than ignorance. If the Drekker are still out there, we need to face that truth now, not later when it's too late. Humanity has survived worse by refusing to look away, the Valeri crew murmured. Some nodded slowly. Even Ren's expression softened, though only a little. You speak boldly, the commander said. Perhaps too boldly. But perhaps you are right. Karini's gaze lingered on Eli, for the first time. She felt something like admiration growing in her chest. That night, Eli sat alone in his cabin, staring at the stars through the glowing wall. His mind was heavy. He had wanted adventure, but he had not expected danger to rise so quickly. Yet he also felt proud. He had saved Karini and the derelict. He had spoken truth to the Valeri. Slowly, he was proving himself not just as an engineer, but as a human among aliens. Still, a question gnawed at him. If the Drekker swarm is real, what happens next? He didn't know the answer, but he knew one thing for certain. He would not back down. Eli Carter sat in the pilot's chamber beside Karini, staring at the endless black of space. The memory of the derelict still haunted him, those strange machines, the trap. And the markings, everything pointed to one name, the Valeri whispered with dread, the Drekker swarm. At first, Eli thought it was just fear of ghosts from the past. But every day since, the ship had intercepted faint signals. Sometimes they sounded like mechanical whispers, sometimes like coded pulses. Commander Ren's expression grew darker each time. The crew of the Serenai Dawn carried themselves with discipline, but Eli could sense unease. Even Karini, who often smiled at his awkward jokes, was quieter now. One evening, Eli finally asked her, So, who exactly were the Drekker swarm? Karini turned toward him. Her crystal skin shimmered faintly purple in the chamber's glow. They were machines born without mercy. Long ago, they spread across the stars, devouring worlds, consuming ships, copying life into cold metal. The Valeri fought them for centuries before they vanished. We believed them destroyed. Eli frowned. Now you think they're back. Her eyes glimmered. The derelict we found was no accident. It was a seed. If the swarm still exists, they may already be watching us. Eli leaned back, exhaling slowly. Great. First mission into space, and humanity gets a front-row seat to robot nightmares. Karini tilted her head curiously. Do you regret joining us, human? Eli shook his head. No. Scared. Sure, but regret. Never. I signed up to learn what's out here. Well, this is it. For the first time in days, Karini smiled. Strange human. You laugh even in fear. The next cycle, alarms rang through the Serenai Dawn. Eli rushed into the control hall, where the crew stood around the glowing crystal core. Commander Ren's voice was tense. Unidentified contacts approaching. 6 vessels, Drekker signature confirmed. Eli's heart pounded. On the map, 6 sharp, jagged icons closed in like hunting blades. Battle stations, Arachan ordered. Karini, prepare evasive resonance fields. Eli Carter remained at the secondary console. You will observe. Eli clenched his fists. Observe. He wanted to help, not just watch. But he swallowed his protest and sat at the console. The Drekker. Ships appeared on the view screen. Dark, insect-like machines with glowing red cores. They moved with terrifying speed. Swarming toward the Serenai Dawn, Karini guided the ship through sharp turns, resonance energy rippling across the hull. The Valeri weapons fired beams of light striking 2 of the Drekker vessels, but the machines adapted quickly, weaving around the shots. The Serenai Dawn shuddered as enemy fire struck its shields. Sparks flew from the ceiling, shields at 70%. A Valeri engineer shouted. Commander Wren's voice remained calm but tight. Maintain formation. Do not break protocol. Eli's eyes darted across his console. The Valeri formation was precise, almost too precise. The Drekker ships twisted unpredictably, attacking from angles the Valeri system didn't anticipate. They're too rigid, Eli thought. They're playing defense against enemies that don't follow rules. Another blast rocked the ship. Shields dropped to 50%. Eli's frustration boiled over. Commander, you can't fight them with strict patterns. You've got to be unpredictable. Rachin shot him a sharp glance. Human, stay silent. You are not trained for battle. Eli slammed the console. These things aren't alive, they're machines. You need chaos, something they can't predict. That's how humans fight. The hall went silent for a heartbeat. Karini's eyes locked with Eli's. She saw the determination in his face. Commander, she said softly but firmly, let him try. He sees something we do not. Rachin hesitated. Another blast shook the hall, nearly throwing him off balance. Finally, he gave a curt nod. Very well. Human, what do you propose? Eli's mind raced. Decay. Your weapons are too slow for a swarm, but your ship is fast. Use that. Instead of dodging in straight patterns, fly erratic. Make sudden shifts. Lure them into crossing fire. Karini's hands glowed as she gripped the pilot's controls. Erratic flying goes against all training, but let us see if human chaos works. She yanked the ship into a sharp spin, then a dive, then a sideways drift that made Eli's stomach churn. The Drekker ships tried to follow, but their precision broke apart. Now, Eli shouted, fire into their own path where they'll be, not where they are. The Valeri gunners obeyed. Beams of light lanced out, and two Drekker ships smashed directly into the blasts, exploding into shards of metal. The crew gasped. The first time, the swarm faltered. Eli grinned. It's working. Keep changing. Don't give them a pattern. Karini's eyes glowed with fierce joy. She spun the Serenai Dawn in ways no Valeri pilot ever had, weaving a dance of chaos. The Drekker chased, confused, crashing into one another, falling into crossfire. Another enemy ship exploded. But the victory was not complete. The remaining three Drekker adjusted, tightening formation. One fired a direct beam at the Serenai Dawn, slamming into its side. The ship lurched, alarms blaring. Shield breach on the lower hull, an engineer cried. Eli bit his lip. Not enough. We need one last trick. He scanned the controls. Then an idea struck him. Karini, pretend you're damaged. Cut power on one side. Make it look like you're spinning out of control. Lure them in close. Karini's eyes widened. That is madness. Exactly, Eli said. Machines won't expect it. Karini's lips curved into a smile. Human madness. I like it. She shut down one engine, sending the ship into a spiraling roll. The Drekker closed in, certain of victory. At the last moment, Karini reignited the engines, blasting upward. The gunners unleashed every weapon at once. The Drekker ships were caught in the trap. Two were destroyed instantly. The last tried to retreat, but Karini swung the Serenai Dawn around and fired a final beam, shattering it into fragments. Silence filled the hall. The Drekker swarm was gone. The crew erupted into cheers, crystal voices echoing through the chamber. Eli leaned back, heart pounding. He could hardly believe it they had survived. Commander Arachin approached Eli, his crystal form glowing softly. Human Carter, today you broke every rule of Valeri combat. And yet, you saved us. Eli gave a tired grin. Sometimes breaking the rules is the only way to win. Karini stepped closer, her eyes shining. You were right. Chaos defeated the machines. You turned fear into victory. Eli felt heat rise to his face. He shrugged. It's just what humans do. We improvise. Arachin inclined his head. Then perhaps improvisation is your greatest weapon. The Drekker will not underestimate us again. But neither will we underestimate you. That night, Eli could not sleep. He sat in his cabin, staring at the shard of space, visible through the glowing walls. The images of battle replayed in his mind, the chaos, the explosions, the way Carini had trusted him without hesitation. For the first time, Eli understood what it meant to be human among aliens. His people were not the strongest, or the smartest, or the most disciplined, but they were wild, unpredictable, and stubborn. And that was exactly what the galaxy needed. Still, a question lingered. If 6 Drekker ships had survived all this time, how many more were out there? The fight had been hard, but it was only a glimpse of the storm to come. Eli clenched his fists. Whatever the future held, he would be ready. Humanity would be ready. The battle against the 6 Drekker ships had ended in victory, but the Serenai dawn carried no celebration for long. The wounds on the hull still smoked. The crew still worked around the clock to repair resonance fractures. And the shadow of the Drekker still weighed heavy on every heart. Eli Carter sat with Carini in the engineering chamber, watching Valeri engineers weave crystal strands into broken conduits. He rubbed his forehead, exhausted. "You should rest," Carini said gently. Her crystal skin glowed faintly purple, the hue of concern. Eli shook his head. "Can't, not while everyone else is working. Besides, my head's too full to sleep." She tilted her head. "Full of what?" He sighed. "If 6 Drekker ships found us, there's got to be more. Maybe hundreds. Maybe thousands. If they're really back, then this fight was only the beginning." Carini was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You are afraid, but you keep moving. That is very human." Eli gave her a tired smile. "Yeah, maybe being scared and doing it anyway is what we're best at." The next cycle, Commander Arachin called the entire crew to the central hall. The crystal core pulsed like a giant heart as voices hushed. Ren's form gleamed in shades of silver. "We cannot ignore the truth. The Drekker swarm has returned. Their technology adapts quickly. Our traditional methods will not be enough. We must decide retreat or continue the mission." A wave of murmurs swept through the crew. Some wanted to return to Valeri space, to warn their people. Others argued to push forward, to learn more before the swarm spread too far. Rachin finally raised his hand. "I will hear one voice outside our own." "Human Eli Carter, step forward." Eli froze, stunned. All eyes turned toward him. Slowly, he stepped into the circle of light. His throat felt dry, but he forced himself to speak. "I'm not a commander. I'm not even a soldier," he began. "I'm just an engineer from Earth, but I've seen what happens when you ignore danger. Back home, history is full of mistakes where people turned away, hoping the problem would disappear. It never does. It only grows." The crew listened in silence. The Drekker are machines. They don't rest. They don't fear. They don't stop. If you retreat, they'll just spread until they reach your homeworld. Until they reach my homeworld. We don't have the luxury to run. His voice shook, but he pressed on. "We can fight them. Not with perfection, not with patterns, but with spirit. With chaos. With courage. That's what humans bring. That's what I can bring. If we work together, Valeri and human, we can stop them before it's too late." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Carini stepped forward beside him. "I stand with Eli Carter. His chaos saved us once. It may save us again." Slowly, more voices rose in agreement. Finally, Commander Arachin inclined his head. "So be it. We move forward. And this time, human unpredictability shall guide us." The crew prepared for battle. Scouts confirmed that a larger Drekker fleet was gathering near a dying star. If the swarm rebuilt there, it could spread across the galaxy. The Serenai dawn would face them alone, in the pilot's chamber. Eli stood beside Carini, staring at the map of hostile signals. His stomach churned, but his mind burned with focus. "All right," he muttered. "Machines think in straight lines, so we'll give them a storm." Carina's lips curved into a small smile. "A storm of human chaos?" "Exactly," Eli said. "Let's make them regret underestimating us." The Drekker came like a tide, dozens of ships, black and jagged, glowing with red cores. The Serenai Dawn surged forward to meet them, its crystal hull shining bright against the dark. The first wave struck hard. The ship shook under enemy fire. Shields dropped fast. But this time, Eli was not just observing. He was at the tactical console, shouting rapid orders. Cut left. Dive. Now swing upward. Make them chase us into crossfire. Karini's hands glowed as she threw the ship into impossible maneuvers. The Valeri gunners fired beams at angles they'd never tried before, catching Drekker ships in deadly traps. Explosions lit the void. 3 enemy ships fell, then 5 more. The crew cheered, but Eli knew the fight was far from over. The second wave closed in. This time, the Drekker adapted. Their formation shifted, mirroring the chaos. They're learning, Karini said grimly. Eli's mind raced. Then we've got to get crazier. He scanned the map, then pointed at the dying star. There, its magnetic field is unstable. If we fly close, the swarm will follow, but they won't handle the turbulence. Ren's voice boomed from the hall. That is suicide. Eli shouted back, Maybe, but it's our best shot. Karini looked at him, eyes glowing with fierce trust. Then let us fly into the storm. As the Serenai Dawn dove toward the dying star. The space around it boiled with magnetic storms, arcs of energy tearing across the void. The Drekker followed, but their formations wavered in the chaos. Hold on. Eli cried. Karini twisted the ship through the storms, resonance shields flaring bright. The Drekker ship struggled, colliding with bursts of magnetic fire. Explosions lit the star's edge, but more still came. Eli's eyes darted across the console. He saw a massive energy surge building in the star's core. If they timed it right, they could unleash it. Karini, we need to draw them closer to the surge point. She nodded without hesitation. The Serenai Dawn looped wildly, luring the Drekker into pursuit. At the exact moment the energy peaked, Eli slammed the controls, channeling resonance to trigger the surge. The dying star erupted. A wave of energy burst outward, swallowing the Drekker fleet. One by one, their ships shattered. Torn apart by the storm, the Serenai Dawn barely escaped, shields nearly collapsing, but it cleared the blast. When the light faded, the Drekker fleet was gone. Only scattered debris drifted in silence. The crew erupted in cheers, their crystal voices ringing like bells. Commander Ren's form glowed bright as he raised his arms. Victory. The swarm is broken. Eli slumped in his chair, exhausted but grinning. We actually did it. Karini placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch warm. No, Eli Carter, you did it. You gave us the courage to fight in ways we never imagined. He shook his head. We all did it together. Human chaos. Valeri resonance. That's what won. Later, in the central hall, the crew gathered once more. Commander Arachin stepped forward, holding a shard of glowing crystal. Eli Carter, he said, his voice echoing with pride. You came to us as a stranger. You faced our rules, our doubts, and our fears. Yet you proved that humanity carries strength we did not see. Creativity, courage, chaos. You have shown us that even without coverings, the human spirit shines bright. He placed the shard into Eli's hands. This crystal is our highest honor. Wear it not as clothing, but as proof that you belong among the stars. Eli's throat tightened. He looked around at the Valeri Cruat, Arachin, at the engineers, and finally at Karini, who smiled warmly. For the first time since leaving Earth, Eli felt truly at home. That night, as he gazed at the stars, Eli thought back to his first day aboard the Embarrassment. The strange rule, the feeling of being exposed. Now he understood. No clothes allowed wasn't just about fabric. It was about stripping away fear, pride, and doubt. It was about standing raw and true, showing who you were without hiding. And in that way, humanity had proven itself not with perfection, but with heart. Eli Carter smiled softly. No clothes, no limits, he whispered. The stars ahead seemed endless, and he was ready to face them all.